All right, so we're gonna start with this Wazuh open source MCP webinar. Thank you, Atricore and Wazuh, for being able to provide this free webinar to all of us. Gianluca Brigandi, which is an MCP server, it's the MCP server author and um, product developer, will be showing the Wazuh MCP that he developed. It is open source and it is the most starred MCP on GitHub.
Mhm.
Then Jorge Nunez, which is a security engineer from Wazuh, will be showing the Wazuh MCP official development. So thank you, as I have said, to Atricore and Wazuh, and thank you, Gianluca, and thank you, Jorge, for your time. Gianluca, whenever you're ready, you can start. And for the record, this session it's being recorded, and you're gonna receive a link after um, after webinar finishes.
Thank you, Camila. Thank you, Wasu, for inviting us to this webinar. Um, so, as Camila said, I'm the original author of this MCP server, which is basically a way to provide, let's say, a intelligence integration with Wasu. Okay. So I'm gonna try to move quite fast in terms of this deck, and then focus on the demo. Okay, the idea is to make a live demo. Hopefully, it's gonna turn out successful. It's things can happen. So this is a little bit high level overview of why I built this. So bottom line, we were we have clients, prospects, and other collaborators, and one of the pain points we were basically hearing from this audience was like, okay, the CM works great. I have my SOC, but it's very challenging for my analysts to really digest all these alerts, all these events, which many times are false positives. Okay, so many companies don't have the budget to hire, a significant, let's say, 5 or 8 SOC analyst team. So um, basically said, okay, I'm Anthropic, which is one of the, you probably know about Anthropic, is the company behind Claude. They released the MCP standard uh, last year, like December of last year. So I said, "Okay, let's do a test. Let's kick tires and see how it goes, and how we can use it for SOC, right?" And so it was more like an experiment. So I started the integration. It was the first version of the specification, so there were some typical um, we can say minor issues. And on top of that, I also had to build like sort of API, because everything is built on Rust. Okay, so we built on top of the specification. We integrated with I built this separate API library for Wasu. I needed a Rust library because everything is Rust, and and then basically I've implemented the when you see stdio, it's basically how my extension is communicating with the LLM client. When I say LLM client, I'm talking about Claude, but now pretty much all Cloud Desktop. But right now there are many other clients that support MCP. But at that time, Cloud Desktop was like the only one, or was really the first one. So so the model context protocol is quite um, is quite straightforward to really understand in terms of value. So you can think of it as a sort of as a sort of a second brain of the AI. So the AI can, in order to reason and provide value, it needs to be, let's say, augmented with data, right? With data, with let's say valuable data, no, not just garbage, right? So the way to do that, the LLMs do not know how to fetch alerts from Wazuh, so they need a way to fetch this data. And when they need it, they basically ask this second brain, which is the MCP server, hey, I need alert information, I need whatever rules or whatever. And then with that information, it can reason and avoid or cut down hallucination and things that are pretty common with LLMs, right? Large language models. So this is the architecture, very MCP standard architecture. The MCP server can talk to both the indexer, which is the indexer is like pretty much a fork of Elasticsearch, and then it can also talk to Wazuh manager. So it can do both, but the LLM doesn't really care because it goes through the MCP server. Uh, as I said before, it's based on Rust. Why Rust is interesting? Because it's self-contained. In order to run the MCP server, you don't need to have anything else. It's self-contained binary. So you just run it and it just works. It doesn't need a Python interpreter. It doesn't need anything, and it's very performant because it doesn't have a garbage collection. Well, anyone interested about Rust, I would recommend having a look at that. So, and the client was the piece I had to build before the actual MCP server. So the MCP server is, if we have to break it down, it's basically made of one or more tools. The tools of like those, if you think about like specific helpers. So think about like, specific like assistants that know how to let's say complete a specific task. So if you want to see running agent, there will be a tool that will basically fetch running agents and so on. So, and everything has to be conformant with the MCP standard. So, and of course, these are the 14 security tools, but many more could be implemented, right? Um, so before MCP or before we had AI, you had to go through, low level. You could do a curl, but you could also, of course, go to the dashboard, and the dashboard is still, of course, super useful. The Wazuh dashboard. But sometimes you want a quick snapshot. You don't want to, let's say, you want to outsource part of the reasoning if you want, and then get the data already, let's say, filter out because you don't have time, and you want eventually to send your CISO maybe a report or something like that, right? And all your SOC analysts are very, very, very busy. So these are some query examples. I think I'm going to I'm ready to share some ideas here. The live session of let's see. I'm gonna share Claude. So this is real. This is going to a real Wazuh instance. Let me see. So this is basically Claude desktop. Okay. I've already pasted what is known as the system prompt. The system prompts allows the LLM to adopt a specific persona, like an identity. Okay, so the prompt is here. We can building this kind of prompt is really straightforward. We can eventually share this in the chat or as a follow up. But it's basically say you are a senior SSO analyst. These are all the things you can do, right? So let me show you quickly. Okay, provide uh, let's say provide a quick snapshot of this morning uh, alerts. Critical. Oh, wait. Keep it short, please, right? So what is going on here? Well, it should be going to the MCP server. It knows that this is Wazuh. I didn't tell anything about Wazuh because it's already, it knows that. So this is, I asked for this morning, and these were the only thing that happened. So there was a system, there was this time change, and everything looks good. About the Windows, I have a Windows endpoint, so I can ask, and so it can go and inspect the agent. So it's gonna specifically point to the Windows agent I have. So it will try focus on this on targeting. So it's retrieving a lot of information. So that's why it takes some time. So it's looking for critical vulnerabilities. It's basically sharing what is going on. But this is the Windows sample. It says clean. Is going fine. Okay. Surface on my Windows box. I'm trying to use only critical, only relevant stuff. I'm trying to be informal. So my Windows box is not, in this case, extremely secure. So I can ask about that. So I had this Samba, which is a pretty old protocol, and it's exposed because it's 000. It means it's exposed to the whole network. So I have a recommendation here. So show me drill down to all my agents endpoints. Keep it short. So I'll basically ask for a report of all my agents endpoints, and it takes some time, but it will eventually work. Now it's looking for. I have about, I think, 4 or 5 agents. There are Linux agents. There are some Docker containers acting also as endpoints. It's looking for critical vulnerabilities. You don't have to. Okay. So all the agents, all the 4 agents are active. There are no listening ports. By the environment, only window box has external facing servers. Okay. Now let's do the following. Let's talk about compliance. Sometimes it's very interesting. Provide how far are we from achieving, let's say, SOC2 compliance based on our cluster using Wazuh rules, right? So we have PCI compliance and ISO, whatever Wazuh is working. So provide a report for a CISO, for my CISO, right? We want something really, really high level. So Wazuh has already a lot of rules that we can, of course, leverage to achieve SOC2 compliance, right? And we want to know whether we are, how far are we from being SOC2 compliant, right? So it's looking also for the alerts. It's going to look for gaps, basically, that we have, okay? So this is the executive summary. So we are 40% ready. And these are all, let's say, the current state. And this is basically the gaps that we have, right? And it's discussing this in very business terms, right? So you don't eventually necessarily need to, at least initially, add the and having to go with hire a consultant. There are many things you can already know, right, based on this, because the model is already trained with SOC to compliance. Let's say what is SOC to compliance? So you just have to provide the rules, and it can provide, let's say, a gap, right? And this is the audit readiness checklist, and of course you will have to check it, right? To verify it. You cannot just trust this just like that, right? And let's say you're happy with let's say you're happy with this, and you can say write this as an email for my CISO, and you can then build something like this. Okay. This is basically the email. Of course, you will always want to double check it. You want to just go with something like this without having a look, right? It's also estimating hours. Once again, take it. Everything has to be analyzed and taken with a grain of salt, as they say. So the other thing, well, there are many things you can do, of course, but you can also inspect the rules, right? For instance, in the current rules, okay, expose. Tell me more about rules. That's specific rules that I'm missing. Focus on critical only, right? So there many times implementing Wazuh rules is not trivial because you eventually write rules and the new rules breaks the previous one, and so what this can do is can well, now it's talking about the gap, but I can say show me specific Wazuh rule, right? And you can use it to build rules, to refine rules, and those rules are coming from Wazuh. They're not, let's say, coming from the web, right? Uh, See, and you can use it as a sort of a way to avoid just writing this from scratch, and you know that those rules are coming from your system, right? Uh, So, and well, you can also run threat analysis. For instance, this is more technical. Show me relevant SSA SSA. Let's say security event from Linux endpoint. Oh, sorry, there's a typo. But I think it will understand it. Um, so it's looking for the agents. Sometimes he has it's looking for the Linux agents, and it actually does every time you ask for it, it's actually refreshing that, because it makes sense, right? You want fresh information, so you don't want to use old information. That's part of the system prompt too. So now it's looking for the processes, because it can inspect also the actual processes within the specific endpoint. It's as you can see, it's looking for the manager log, so it's cross-referencing any agent log with what the manager actually has. So let's see, it's pulling also the log connector stats. It do a bunch of stuff, so that's why it takes some time. It's not the MCP server; it's more about the connecting all the dots at the end of the process. But there's also sometimes, now it's much better, but it used to have some issues. Sometimes this can happen, and it will retry basically. If this happens, you can whatever restart. So here, once the manager has a serious problem. Okay, this is interesting. This is real. Just before the actual session we had, there was the manager didn't have enough space to the um, the logs. So this is real, and this is not security but operational. Sometimes it's Wazuh that doesn't have enough space to write events, and you want to know about it, right? And this is really happen, but it doesn't know that it has been mitigated. Okay, so now it's checking all the Linux containers, right? This is what I asked before, but before that, it's actually telling me, hey, something bad happened because the Linux Wazuh manager is actually an endpoint. So for him, it's a Linux endpoint. So it's basically saying there's an issue there. Okay, and and it actually tells me to fix immediately. This has already been done, right? But the event is still there. So and this is all the findings about what happened with the Linux environment. It's also suggesting rules because we already discussed about compliance. So it has knows that I'm interested in actually the compliance perspective. So I have to fix the database. This is actually happened. Bottom line, the Linux container mostly clean. Blah blah blah. So the database, and I can tell the issue has been addressed, right? And because that's in the log, so you can actually talk and have a conversation about it, and so it will not basically focus on that. You can also ask to check the free space on the server, and so this is anything. So you can I should be aware of SOC wise. You can have this kind of high level conversation, and this is so basically say I don't have an automated response. It knows that I'm interested in SOC, so it's basically telling me that I have to what I have to do, right? I don't have log retention. I don't have a lot of things, right? So, and it will tell me all the rules to try to mitigate this, right? Of course, this is a demo environment, so I will have a lot of gaps in terms of compliance. So you're flying blind, so that's not very nice. Because I didn't integrate we also have an MCP server for OSINT for security intelligence. We're using Cortex. We also have let's say the incident ticket system, but it's not integrated here. This is pure CM, right? So so it's actually providing all this kind of information. So this interface is also very compatible for a more business audience. So so that's it in a nutshell. There's much more that you can do, but it's as I say, the sky is the limit. So you can achieve a lot more, and the idea is to add more tools to the MCP server. The next step probably is mitigation. It's a very delicate. Um, it's mitigation through response. So we want to eventually add the capability to respond to respond quickly via the LLM. But it's something that's gonna probably be up there pretty soon. So let's stop sharing here, and I think we have Jorge. Let me see if we have anything else here. I'm gonna complete I'm not sure if you're able to see my screen. Just one sec. No, I'm gonna share my presentation. So this is the configuration is very simple. You just have to point it to the actual binary of the Wazuh MCP server. You can use pre-built binaries, Docker, whatever you want. You just download it from GitHub. As I said before, these are all the other MCP servers I built that, let's say, complete the ecosystem. All three can work in concert, and it's all open source too. So, and this was the live demo I've already provided. You have the coordinates here, but this will be shared with you after the call. So there's a lot of, in case you want kick tires for those that haven't tried it yet, they can, of course, go ahead with it. So this is my Telegram for anyone that wants to reach out. And, I'm always happy to have, conversation about, or, getting feedback from the community. And we have a Discord channel also, um, that for those that are interested, and the idea is to build a community behind these AI-driven, let's say, SOC workflows, not only the MCP. So thank you so much. I will pass now the wheel to Jorge, and so you can keep going, or Camila. I'm not sure we want to have some. Okay, I can see there are a bunch of.
Yeah, there are a bunch of questions. I don't know, Jorge, Gianluca, if you want to, separate the questions, or we can make like
Mhm,
a 15 minutes after Jorge finishes the presentation to have both Q&A together, as you prefer.
As you prefer, guys, no problem from my side.
All right. All right, so I think it will be okay for Gianluca to have this short Q&A, 10 minutes
mhm,
maximum. People it's asking if this is an open source and free tool. Uh,
mhm.
Gianluca, I'll let you with
Yeah,
this.
yeah. So everything it's open source. I mean, Claude Desktop. It's not open source. I'm using Claude Desktop because it's actually has the best integration as far as MCP is concerned. However, there are you can actually, there are other clients which are open source that already have MCP support. You don't necessarily need to use Cloud Desktop. So so you can, the support will not eventually be maybe as good, but it's pretty much everyone has it. And the other thing I wanted to add, that you don't necessarily need to use the let's say the desktop application. So Claude has, and also Gemini, and Codex from OpenAI, they all have MCP support, and actually for a technical power user, I think it's more interesting, more productive and efficient to use the terminal-based clients. So I will just type here on the Cloud Code is one, Gemini, CLI, Codex, CLI. Okay, those are also uh, have MCP support. I'm not 100% sure about Gemini. I think the latest version they do have it, but Cloud Code for sure, and Codex CLI has also MCP support. So instead of having to work from a desktop interface, UI, you actually use the terminal, and I think it's in some way for a SOC analyst is, at least for me, I typically favor using CLIs. So there's another question about SSC mode setup. Yeah, that's a good question. So the MCP for now is using STDIO. Basically, it's using standard input output, as I said before. One is actually someone requested this on the GitHub repo. So the idea is to implement it, because now SSC actually, it has been superseded. So it has been, there's another they basically, in the latest draft, they are proposing a new way to do this. If you check the draft, you'll see that, which is not SSE. So this is honestly, I have to look into it, but the idea is to allow basically the client, the LLM client, like Cloud Desktop, to actually connect to the MCP server remotely. So that I think would be interesting, because you could kind of host the MCP server. You could provide multi-tenancy, so serve multiple clients, or multiple let's say actors, and they don't really need to. They just need to set up the MCP server, and you control, where from that MCP server which Wazuh CMs they can access. So yeah, that's the idea, is to integrate the new remoting support, which is, if I recall correctly, it's not SSC anymore, but I'll check it. So that
Gianluca,
about the yeah.
I think probably a question that everyone's doing themselves, it's about privacy, and I
Hmm.
think you can tell about the
Good.
MCP that
Yeah,
you have
yeah.
created for that.
So this was one of the concerns. About privacy is a concern because you're sending a lot of private information to potentially sensitive information to an LLM host, right? And of course, the man-in-the-middle attack is very unlikely. It's using, HTTPS, but no one really knows. And so there are, I guess, at least two ways to mitigate that. One is to use Bedrock. So basically, have uh, your own Anthropic inference service on AWS. So with Claude, basically with Anthropic, you can have that option. So it's like having your private thing, and so no one can. Well, no one. It's still going to be on AWS, but it's not the public endpoint. It's just a more private service, that is offered by Anthropic. So Bedrock is an option, which I think is pretty interesting. It also gives you, more control in terms of SLA. You can have something even, with better, let's say, performance and less latency, whatever. If there is an outage, eventually with the public cloud, public Anthropic API, eventually Bedrock works. Still works. So that's the Butler is one idea. The other option is another MCP server I didn't mention, which is called Conceal. I'm not sure, Camila, if you can paste the GitHub URL. So this Conceal is basically, it's like a middleman, okay, that fronts the Wazuh MCP server. So it basically it acts like a sort of a filter. So everything goes through this Conceal MCP server, which is local. So there's no concerns about disclosure. And then when there is some potentially sensitive information that is received, that is, let's say, to be submitted or received, or let's say received by the inference service, what it does, it does a pseudo anonymization. So if, for instance, you want to hide IP addresses, you can hide the IP addresses, but it doesn't hide only the IP addresses. It will hide in a way that is still semantically, let's say, correct. Because if you just hide, you lose a lot of value. So the LLM will not really do a lot of interesting reasoning. So instead of just redacting, so it's just, let's say, hiding with XXX, it actually finds something that is close, so that you don't lose, let's say, reasoning power um, provided by the LLM. Because if you send all that information, and the LLM will not really know if it's not disclosed what kind of information you're actually trying to analyze. So if there is an IP address, it will actually, if you want to pseudo-anonymize that IP address, it still be an IP address, but it will be a fake one. Okay, so that's the MCP server, and this was because some of our clients and basically are asked about that. I'm sending all this information up there. So Bedrock is one option, and the other one is use MCP server Conceal as the other option. The third option would be using a local model. So local open source models are getting better and better, and they support tool calling. So there is actually one SOC analyst that published how to integrate this MCP server. I'm not sure, Camila, if you have it handy somewhere. We have it. It's on LinkedIn. We can share it afterwards. So he basically showed how to connect the Wazuh MCP server, this one, to a local model. If I recall correctly, it was a Mistral. It was a Mistral model, and with that, that means that and it worked pretty well. So with a local model, you can run it in your own server, right? With Olama, so you combine Olama plus let's say Mistral. These are all open source tools, and you run that on your server. And Mistral and all the local models now have support for tool calling. Tool calling is what you need in order to integrate with MCP server. Before, they were not really, let's say, too powerful. They were missing, let's say, support, but now they're pretty good. And we can share, Camila, or maybe if I find this URL, there is a tutorial about how to integrate.
Yeah, we can share this right after the meeting on Discord channel for all of you. We have only 2 more minutes, so if you want to write questions on the chat, Gianluca can answer one more question, and then we move forward with Wazu's official MCP presentation. All right, so if there's no more questions, we're gonna move forward with Jorge presentation.
That sounds great, and thank you, Camila and Gianluca.
Thank you
So
all.
let me share my screen, guys. It's visible for you?
Yes, we can all see your
Yes.
screen.
Okay. Well, hello everyone. I hope you're doing well today. Let me briefly introduce myself. My name is Jorge Fabiano Nunez, George in English. I'm a security engineer at WAS and part of the pre-sales team at here today. I'm pleased to have the opportunity to show you the AI capabilities in WAS, especially the AI assistant that is built in our official MCP server. And here during for this session, I will start with a short overview of WASA. Then we'll move into a live demo of the AI assistant. After that, I will explain the AI capabilities available in the platform. And finally, I will share the quick look at the roadmap, highlighting some of the improvement common in WhatsApp 5.0. Okay, the next releases. Here, let me start with a quick overview of what is WhatsApp, especially for anyone seeing the platform for the first time. So here, the platform is a 100% open source security platform that combines SIEM and XDR capabilities in a single solution to protect endpoint and cloud workload. Our platform is widely used by thousands of organizations around the world. We have been in the market for more than 10 years, and we work with customers of all sizes, from small businesses to large enterprise, including the organizations that you see on the screen. And to give you some quick context before jumping into the demo, let me briefly explain what WASA is used for in practice. We group the main use cases into 4 areas. First, we have endpoint security. The platform can check the system and applications configurations against security baselines, detects signs of malware activity on endpoint, and monitor important five of unauthorized changes using the fine charity monitoring. We also have threat intelligence that the platform collects and analyzes the log data from many sources, supports threat hunting, and detects vulnerabilities in the operating systems and applications installed on monitor endpoints. We also have security operations. WhatsApp can trigger automated actions, response actions, provide also dashboards and controls to support regulatory requirements, and improve the IT hygiene by giving better visibility into assets and configurations. And lastly, cloud security. The platform can integrate with cloud providers like AWS, Azure, GCP to collect the security data, detect misconfigurations, monitor containers, and protected workloads running in both clouds and on-premises environments. So all these capabilities come from WhatsApp as a SIEM and XDR platform, with a one lightweight agent installed on the endpoints you monitor. And you can deploy WhatsApp and on premises or use or SaaS solution called WhatsApp Cloud. And so with the platform Wazuh, you can centralize the log data from different sources, and have a clear view of your infrastructure. So you get a full picture, including endpoint, server, workstations, cloud workloads, applications, and network devices. So now that we have this quick background, let's jump into the Wazuh dashboard, which is the web user interface to interact with the platform, so we can see how everything looks in action. Okay, so let me here share my screen. Well, this is the main page of the Wazuh dashboard, where you can get a quick and clear overview of the platform. On the top left section here, you have the agent summary, which shows you the active and disconnected agents on the system. On the right side, we have a summary of the alert from the last 24 hours and organized by severity. And below here, we can see all the modules and the capabilities of the platforms organized into 4 different sections. Again, endpoint security, threat intelligence, cloud security, and security operations. Um, Here, I will begin with the threat hunter module because it's one of the most used features of the platform, because it provides you a dashboard to give you a clear overview of what's happening in your environment. And here you can see charts and showing the total alert, the high severity alerts, the authentication failures, the authentication successes, the mark text mappings, and other visualizations. And the platform gives you different ways to filter data. For example, the top, you can change the time range to focus on a specific period. For example, let's click here, that's 30 minutes. And on the left side, you have the search bar that supports GQL and Apache Lucene query language. So if you're familiar with one of these languages, you can use it. But for me, the most easier way to filter data is with this button, Add Filter, where basically you can filter by any field extracted by the Wazuh decoder, basically the parser that reads the logs and creates the structure fields. And for example, you can filter here looking for a specific IP address, username, or even by a specific control requirement related to regulatory compliance. Also here, all the dashboard are interactive. You can click directly on a value to apply it as a filter, and the dashboard update instantly. For example, I can click here, for example, this technique of MITRE. As you can see here, the dashboard update. You can also choose whenever to see the data from all the agents or from one specific agent. If we go here under the events tab, is where we can see all the alerts generated by the platform. Here we can see information about the description of the alert, the severity level assigned, the ID, and we can also open any of this alert and get more information about the full raw log, the decoder that was used to extract the fields, and details like the source IP, source port, user, and also enrichment, and such as geolocation of the IP. And we can also see, if we scroll down here, information about the security rule. We can have here the ID, the description of the alert, the severity level assigned, and how it's mapped to different regulatory compliance and frameworks such as GDPR, GPG, HIPAA, NIS, PCI DSS, and also with the MITRE ATT&CK framework. So at this point, we already have the full event details on screen, but instead of going reviewing these alerts one by one, we can use the Wazuh AI assistant to get a clear summary of what happened. Up here in the top right, here we have the assistant panel with a text box where we can ask type of questions in a natural language. For example, here I asked to request to analyze the alert from the last 30 minutes. And as you can see here, the AI assistant is integrated directly into the Wazuh dashboard. It lets you ask questions in a natural language about the alert chart you're investigating. So here we have an answer. If we go here on the top, here we can see that the platform detect that we have more than 100, almost 2,000 alerts from the last 30 minutes. We can see that these alerts are related to some failed login attempts. We can see the affected endpoint. We can see here some key findings, also provide us some context about the alerts, also the impact, and the system also provides recommended actions. And so instead of manually here reviewing many alerts, Here this AI assistant provides a good summary about what's happening in the environment. And here we can also ask about information about vulnerabilities, not only alerts. For example, here a request to provide the list of endpoints affected by a specific CVE. So here the system reviews the vulnerability data and the environment to identify which system are exposed. Here, well, here we have an answer, and here we can see that the platform tell us that there are two endpoints affected. One is a Debian, another Ubuntu, with a total six of vulnerable packages. It also lists exactly which packages and version are impact on each system. Then explain what is the CVE is about. And the response also includes here the impact, and also provides again a recommended suggested action to address these vulnerabilities. So here we can see that in a single answer, the AI system give us which system are exposed, which version are vulnerable, what vulnerability does, and what we should do next. So these help a lot to during the triage and speed up the analysis of the vulnerabilities in the environment. So these are just a few examples of how we can use the AI system. And now that we have seen this in action, let's go by here again to the presentation so that I can give you more information about this feature. So first, let me clarify that the Wazuh AI assistant is still under active development and testing. What I show you today is an initial version that we are continuously improving. But here in simple terms, this Wazuh AI assistant is built in our MCP server, use generative AI to make it easier to work with security alerts. So it lets users to interact with Wazuh using the natural language for tasks such as alert investigation, incident response. With it, you can analyze alert, generate summaries, obtain explanation about threats and CVEs. And here, the main benefit of the AI assistant are quite practical. First, it can help speed up the incident response. Second, it supports different skills levels in a team. That's, for example, let's say a junior analyst can better understand what to look and how to react. On the other hand, more experienced and analytics analysts can quickly validate their ideas and get extra context when they need it. A third, we can say that also can help to improve the overall security posture. So by having a clear view of alert, vulnerabilities, and related risks, it becomes easier to make informed decisions and prioritize what to fix first. So in this slide, you can see more example on the type of questions that you can ask to the AI assistant. Our roadmap is to keep improving this functionality so the AI assistant can perform more complex searches. This is planned for our 5.0 release. I will explain the roadmap in more detail in a few minutes. But before jumping into the roadmap, let me show you another AI capability that is available in Wazuh that called the AI alert enrichment. With alert enrichment, Wazuh can automatically add extra context to certain alert integration with an LLM. So in this example, we can see a use case where Wazuh integrate with Jara and an LLM to detect malware artifact and reach the alert. So when a suspicious file is detected, the LLM can explain what the malware is, what impact it could have, and which mitigation step should take. Now let's move into another AI capability in Wazuh, the called AI Analyst Service. So while the AI assistant is used interactively from the dashboard, the AI analyst runs automatically, so analyzes your environment on a schedule and sends regular reports. So the AI analyst is an AI-powered analysis service integrated to Wazuh cloud subscription. It analyzes alerts, vulnerabilities, and endpoint activity, and generates a structured report with prioritized conclusions and recommendation. With this service, basically, you're gonna receive a weekly email with key information such as an histogram of the protected endpoint, the total volume of the alert, the number of active vulnerabilities, a summary of the overall security posture, and attached to this email, is also a PDF report with more details. Here you can see a sample of that report. It includes four main sections. The first, the overall assessment. This section provides you a high-level view of the environment. Then you have the alert analysis section. It shows alerts categorized by level, the admired attack techniques, include also suggested action to address them. Then the vulnerability analysis. This section summarizes the vulnerabilities by severity, effective packages, operating systems, again with recommended actions to mitigate. And finally, the endpoint analysis. Here you can see the most active endpoints, which help you decide where to focus the efforts first. So all this information is processed in AWS Bedrock using a Anthropic Cloud model in isolate and encrypted environment. So that means the data is not used to train the models and it's not shared with third parties. So now that we have covered these features, here we can summarize the main AI capabilities available in Wazuh today. So first, we have the AI assistant. We can define it as a real-time chatbot for alert analysis, questions, and security-related suggestions. And currently, is available for on-premises deployment and works an integration that connect WhatsApp with an LLM provider and MCP server. And then we have the AI alert enrichment, which use the AI to add more context to search and alert. And finally, the AI analyst, which is available currently only in WhatsApp Cloud as a built-in service. So this service sends a weekly PDF report by email, which details about the alert, priority, risks, and recommended next steps. So all these AI capabilities in Wazuh, and just like the great MCP solution presented by Gianluca, are complementary. So they do not replace each other. Instead, they are designed to work side by side. Here, the goal of this tool is to make the daily work of the security analyst easier, helping them to understand the alert faster, reduce the noise, focus on what matters most, and get a clear guidance when investigating threats and or vulnerabilities. Well, guys, now I would like to briefly share what is coming next for Wazuh. Today, our latest version is 4.14, and our next major release will be Wazuh 5.0, planned for the first quarter of the next year. And I will not go into every detail, but at high level, version 5.0 focuses on three main areas: usability, deployment, and threat detection and response. By usability, we mean making the platform easier to use. By deployment, we mean simplifying the architecture, improving the performance, making it easier to install, upgrade, and scale. And by threat detection and response, we mean improving how collect, normalize, and reach the data so you can detect and investigate threats more effectively. And behind these three areas, there are two big changes that I want to highlight. First is the new engine. So the new engine have been redesigned to deliver faster, more efficient security event analysis. Along with it, we are shipping an update of rule set that covers hundreds of sources, includes new detection rules mapped to well-known regulations and frameworks such as CMC, ISO 27301, NIS2, FedRAMP, MyRTAG, and others. And this new engine also lays on the foundation for future improvement. That means better usability, more automation, deeper integrations, and advanced capabilities driven by AI and machine learning. And in parallel, we are introducing the Wazuh Common Schema. So this is a standardized structure for events across all the data sources. It will make it easier to correlate alert, build dashboard reports, and integrate Wazuh with other tools while improving the quality and investigation. So even though the 5.0 includes many other improvements, these are the main message here is that we're modernizing both the engine and the data model to make Wazuh easier to use, easier to deploy, and better prepared for advanced AI-driven capabilities. So, well, guys, I think that's all from my side. So thank you very much for your time. I'm happy to answer any question you may have. So, well, stop sharing my screen now and I'm going to see your question if you have.
Thank you, Jorge. Um, we have 10 minutes for a Q&A. We have a lot of questions here in the chat. I don't know if you want to check them.
Okay, let me see. Is the Wazuh AI assistant is local to Wazuh server, as it the case that the data will be no trouble to the analyzed by the AI? Well, basically here with the Wazuh AI system is an integration with an MCP server that you can connect to an LLM provider. And here you can use any LLM provider that you prefer. You can use locally LLM or another commercial, for example, OpenAI, I don't know, Gemini or any other LLM provider. So here, as you know, the great thing to be open source that we are very flexible. You can integrate almost with everything. Okay, so this depends on of your preference. How can we integrate the AI assistant on premises? If yes, I need the integration guide. Well, that's a good question. So right now, the AI assistant works and integration for on-premises deployments. We don't have a public documentation yet because the feature is still under active development. To use it, as I mentioned, you need to access to an LLM provider. This can be a local LLM or any other LLM provider. Um, the integration basically connects WASA with an MCP server behind the scenes. And in case if you're interested in implementing the AI assistant or the MCP solution that Atricore present today, you can contact Atricore and they will coordinate with us, and together we can assist you with the setup and integration. But currently, we don't have a public documentation about this AI assistant integration. Um, okay, yes, this link is related to WhatsApp Cloud, that is related to WhatsApp analysis service that is available on cloud. So thanks, Renan, to share the link. Um, maybe for days AI analysis service on premise available. Well, that's right. We are also working to expand all the AI capabilities for both on premises and also the WhatsApp cloud. I think the big step is going to be the WhatsApp version 5.0 that's going to allow us to expand these AI capabilities. So we are very excited what is coming for WhatsApp for the next year. Let me see. From identification analysis to settlement management communication report failed. Okay, thanks for coming, Leonard. Um, can we see the dashboard 5.0? At the moment, I don't have a demo environment to show what it looks like, but when we have some news about, we are going to share with the community so you can test a better version. But currently, I don't have access to the dashboard. Will be better support for agent and red hat hosts. Yes, here, well, basically here we are also expanding and also to include all the the latest releases to all the operating system, not only Red Hat, also the other Linux distributions and Windows endpoint. What's the minimum was a version required to fully support MCP server and its AI capabilities? Okay, that's a good question. For the AI assistant, the real-time chatbot, you can integrate since was a version 4.12 can work. And well, the AI alert enrichment can work with previous version without problem, because basically you're just integrate with an LLM and, for example, with Java to detect the artifact and then reach the alert. We For this case we have a documentation. I'm going to share with you in the chat in a minute, so in case if you want to review this. So, well, guys, I don't know if you have any other questions. Is there a documentation for deploying WhatsApp with EKS along with the manifest? Um, I have to check. I think we have a documentation that can provide you some guidance about this. If you don't find, you can also reach our community. Our community is very active. We have one of the biggest community of cybersecurity and open source. So if you don't have, if you don't find the documentation or official document or official website, you can find some guidance through our community channels. Can I leverage the capabilities of MCP to modify my WhatsApp even better, custom my rules in case? Yes, yes, definitely yes. Here, basically, we can do almost with everything with our platform. We're open source. We can modify. We can edit, for example, how the MCPs, how the agent, because under the hood we have an agentic AI that consume these tools generated by this MCP server. And the idea also is to expand in the feature, not only to provide you analysis of alerts or summaries, also to interact directly with the all the different capabilities and different configurations that you have on WhatsApp. So, well, guys, I don't know if you have any other questions. I think that
Just before we close, Jorge, I would like to let people know that on January 7th, next year, we're having another webinar in collaboration with Wazuh, and it's going to be a workshop, actually, not a webinar, free workshop to guide you through the installation of Gianluca's MCP. Okay, so if you want to join that workshop, please email me at hello@atricore.com or feel free to message also on the Discord channel. I'm glad you like it. Thank you. Thank you all.
Thank you so much.
thank you guys. Okay,
Bye bye.
All right. Bye
bye
bye,
bye.
guys. Thank you.
Thank you.